I'm with Marilyn Stemp of IronWorks magazine, and instead of me doing the interview, she's going to interview me. So we'll check out that and see how that goes. So Marilyn, you're in charge.
That's a scary prospect, but here we go. Bob introduces these talks all the time. He interviews a lot of the builders. I think something that most people don't know is that Bob has quite a lot of traction in the motorcycle industry. One of the reasons he's so good at bringing these shows together is that he's built bikes himself for many years, and he has a real sense of the history of customization in America, especially related to V-twins. So I think there's probably a lot in that brain that we can pick and all of us learn something from. So this is a great opportunity for us to kind of open the mind. Something that I'm proud of is that IronWorks was able to feature a bike that Bob built through his shop, a biker's garage in Dallas, Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it was a 1973 shovelhead that Bob refurbished himself. Turned out to be a beautiful, what would you call it? Not a restoration, but you tell me, what would you call it?
Oh, I don't know. You might call it a rest-a-rod. But what I did was I had a 73 shovel. Actually, the frame was in the chassis of 73. The drivetrain came out of an 81. And the story goes like this. When I was a little kid, my father had a lot of guns and had some guys come over to check them out one day. And they both came in on a couple pans with a big old buddy seat and the bags. They had the white T-shirts on and the jeans rolled up and the Luckies in their sleeves, and I just was awestruck. And ever since then, I wanted to build a bike to that style, and this was my 73 shovel. The bike was actually all together, and I took it all apart, brought out the old buddy seat, repainted it metallic and cream white, and ended up with, I think, as you put in the article, a nice gentleman's tour.
Yeah, exactly. Not over the top, but a bike that's very rideable. You rode it to Born Free from Texas, as I understand. So it's very authentic in use and in style. So we were very proud to have that, and it actually was on the cover of the July issue. Something else that Bob often talks about if you come to any of the progressive IMS shows is he'll give a little history of customization in America and sort of where that all came from. Something we all forget is that, these things didn't just start happening in the last 10 or 15 years, but they're actually grounded in the history of American motorcycling. Custom bike building started in garages all over this country, the way it even continues today. But Bob has a unique look at, I think you talk about World War II vets coming back and kind of what inspired them to start working on motorcycles. Maybe tell people a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the modern custom motorcycles, the whole industry and the aftermarket kind of evolved around after World War II. And basically, you had a lot of the pilots and the young veterans coming back. And after being involved in the war and being overseas and being away from their family and working on those horrendous conditions and what was going on in the war, they didn't want to just settle down to a 9-to-5 job, and they wanted some freedom. So really, it began with what they could take off the motorcycles, and really hence the bobbers that came around in the early 50s. And what's also, if you think about it, the early WLAs and the 45 cubic inches, these bikes used to ride, they used to do the dirt crosses with them, they just strip everything off. So that combination of efficiency, of competition, of the look, carried over into these street bikes, and they would take the front fender off. The early fenders were hinged. They take that lower part of the hinge fender off, pull the seat off. Originally, they just throw on a pillow or a towel on the seat, make some handlebars out of an old bar stool or something. And really, that's where it all began. And about that same time, a guy named George Smith in the late 1958 started winning a lot of drag races. So again, that competition involved with the custom. So people were getting used to buying parts that other people were making, and I could go on for hours about it, but that's where it all started, and the different trends, and here we are today. And what's so nice is the diversity. We just don't have a chopper show. It's not just a bagger show. These are custom motorcycles that the builders decide what style they want to present to you and what platform they want to use.
You can see how enthusiastic Bob gets on this topic. I mean, it's something that he definitely feels. He's lived it for so many years, and it comes from his heart. So let's talk a little bit about how customization has infiltrated the Harley-Davidson Museum this weekend. I think that's a big story because, we all buy stock bikes, but nobody really rides stock bikes because, we don't want to look like the other guy. We all want to look special and make something fit us better, suit our personal needs, and no matter how good the bikes are coming from the factory, we all feel we need to tweak them in some regard. So these bikes, you might say some of them are extremely rideable, some of them are exercises in art. There's such variety here.
Well, if you want to talk about Harley-Davidson and customization, first off, Harley-Davidson has provided that platform for years, as we just talked about, from taking the big old baggers and really just taking parts off, whether you're going to use them in competition or to just cruise around the countryside. But really, in 1971 is when they really delved into the customization, and Willie came out with the first Super Glide. And again, if you think about it, it was an FLH. They put a Sportster front wheel on it. They took off the floorboards. They put some front forward controls on it. Had that big bow tail seat, which back then everybody hated and threw away. And now if you can find one, that seat alone is probably worth $5,000. But Harley got involved in customization by watching what the customizers of the time were doing at the drag strip and out on the street. They were watching, as we got into the 70s, the Donnie Smiths, the Arlen Nesses, and Dave Perowitz, and they would start to incorporate that into their line. And swing a couple years ahead now, Harley has supported the AMD World Championship ever since its inception, the Ultimate Builder competition. They're really behind this, and they actually have a director of consumer experience now, Mr. Steve Peel, who his whole deal is how do you as riders react to Harley-Davidson and what they're doing. And boy, they got a read on it, and you look at their new custom programs, their new bikes, they really come a long way.
Well, and if I understand it correctly, that was the whole push of the 2014 models. They responded to direct input from Harley-Davidson customers.
Absolutely.
And that's what's developed these new models, which is impressive for a company this large to stay so closely in touch with the people that they serve. They're all about the customer, and they made that very clear this morning in some talks that we were able to have with a couple of the executives. So it's exciting to see it all move forward. It's exciting to be with my friend Bob, always, and hear a little more of your elucidation on the history of customizing in America. Thanks for sharing. Well, it's been great talking with my friend Bob. I appreciate that he would take some time out to share some of his knowledge of customizing and the history of customization in America. So it's been great fun, Bob. And I do want to mention that we've got a lot more time yet here at the Harley-Davidson Museum and at the 110th generally. The weekend is just beginning. There's so much more happening. And if you want to read more about that or see some updates, you can go to ironworksmagazine.com or visit our Facebook page or pick up the next issue, which is available on newsstands nationwide. And if you aren't here, you can see what you missed, but there's still time, so come on out.